Hey dough rollers, welcome back to the channel. So I think one of the most difficult things in all of personal finance is to set financial priorities. Do you pay off all your non-mortgage debt first and then start saving? How much of an emergency fund should you build up before perhaps contributing to a 401k? How should buying a home fit into this picture or saving for a child's education? We have all of these competing goals and we've only got so much money, so how do we actually set the priorities? So in today's video, I'm going to walk through four free tools. Actually, three of them, you can think of them as resources. They're sort of like blueprints you could follow to set financial priorities. Think of them like recipes you could follow. And then the fourth one is an actual tool. It's got a free version and a paid version, but it can help you actually pull all of this together into a financial tool that really could create an entire financial plan for you from, when you first start working all the way through retirement. So let's jump in on the first, as I said, the first three are kind of like recipes that you could follow. I'm going to start with the simplest and then move to sort of an intermediate version, and then the third one will be a more complicated version with more nuances. So the first one, you've probably heard of it. Yes, it's Dave Ramsey's 7 baby steps. Here they are on the screen. And by the way, I'll leave links to everything I'm showing you below the video. And you've probably seen this. Many of you probably have. It's a reasonable financial plan. There are some issues with it. I'll talk about them, but you can see he just walks through. You first save $1,000. That way you're not living paycheck to paycheck. It may not give you a huge cushion, but it's a start. Then he has you paying off all your non-mortgage debt. Then step 3, saving a full 3 to 6 months of expenses. And then finally, step 4, getting into saving for retirement, and then a child's education, paying off your home, and then building even more wealth and giving. A very well-known, popular approach that's no doubt helped thousands of people get out of debt and get on the right financial path. So I think this is certainly a reasonable approach in many cases and one worth considering. I do think there are at least 2 issues that I see with this. The first is, it doesn't make sense to me to pay off all of your non-mortgage debt in step 2, no matter what. I could see circumstances where that would actually be a really bad idea. For example, maybe you've got student loans and you're on a path to debt forgiveness, or you've taken advantage of 0% credit cards and you've got debt at 0%, or maybe it's you just low interest rate debt, and to focus on that even above, say, 401k contributions where you have matching contributions it doesn't make sense to me. So it's kind of 2 things in one there. It's focusing on debt as the non-mortgage debt as step 2, regardless of interest rates. That doesn't make sense to me. And then sort of related, then foregoing, as an example, an employer match to a 401k until in his case you'd get to step 4. That really doesn't make sense to me at all. You're just giving away free money. I also think there's just a benefit to building the habit of saving at least something out of every paycheck. So again, I think this approach could work for a lot of people, and it depends on your circumstances, but I think it would be suboptimal for a lot of folks as well. So that gets me to the second one I want to show you today. This comes from the Bogleheads, the low-cost index fee crowd, which I am a part of. And they call it prioritizing investments. This is their wiki. And you can see in the chart here, it's more than just investments, because they start with an emergency fund. And then see, they dive right in. Hey, get the maximum match from an employee retirement plan. I think that's the right way to think about it, because it's free money, right? And then they go to high interest debt on credit cards. Now, the thing I would add here is that if I had high interest credit card debt, and at one point I did, I would transfer that over to a 0% balance transfer card, and I'll leave a link to an article that lists a whole bunch of those options. But so I wouldn't probably have high interest rate debt for long. But if you did, they list this as third. They then mention, this is interesting, I think they put health savings accounts next. As you may know, there's sort of a triple tax advantage to health savings accounts, right? Because you get a deduction. When you make the contribution, it grows tax-free, and then if you spend it for health expenses, qualified health expenses, you don't pay taxes when you take it out. It's kind of almost like combining a traditional IRA with a Roth. You get the best of both worlds. And of course, you have to have a high deductible health plan, so it doesn't apply to everyone. We have one, and we're saving our money. We're not spending it. But one thing to know about health savings accounts is that they're not flexible spending accounts where you have to use it or lose it. You can carry it over for years and years and years. You never lose it. And even if you don't use it now for health expenses, you can save your receipts from eligible health care expenses and use them to get reimbursements tax-free from the account, 5, 10, 20 years later. So a really good savings vehicle if you have access to it. All right. And then from there, they continue to max out either an IRA or an employer plan or both. And then here they get to a medium interest debt, and then investing in taxable accounts, and then paying off your low interest debt. They mention a mortgage here. I'm not sure, are mortgages considered low interest? I'm not so sure. I guess you may have a low interest mortgage, but if you're getting a new mortgage today, you're probably paying close to 8%. But this, a little more, I say, involved than Dave Ramsey's baby steps, but it addresses the two concerns I have with Dave Ramsey's approach. That is, his approach ignores interest rates on debt and doesn't seem to care about the employer match. And this plan addresses both of those. So I think this is a really good plan. Again, I'll leave links to it below the video. All right, number 3, this one's gonna be a little more involved. This comes from the subreddit Personal Finance. This is a description of it. I'm going to actually show you the flowchart that they use, and I'm going to show it to you on my iPad because I actually think it looks best on an iPad, believe it or not. Yeah, this is a little more complicated, but the good news is it's really easy to follow, and it helps you break down everything. I mean, it starts from creating a budget and then paying your rent, and it even prioritizes what bills you should pay. Now, hopefully you can pay them all, but the point is it prioritizes those expenses you need to survive: rent, mortgage, food and groceries, right? Essential items. And then it goes into paying expenses you need to keep your job. So, that's not going to apply to everyone, but it might apply to some folks. And it walks through, and you just follow the flow chart, and it gives you yes, no questions. And depending on your answer, do you have children or don't you have children? Do you have an employer match or not? It walks through everything in great detail. And it even gets in, there's even sections here about, if you want to retire early or not. So there's an early retirement section. You can see it at the bottom left there. Let me get rid of that. So it really is as detailed a financial flowchart as I think you'll find anywhere. And this will appeal to some people and not others. And there you go. I'm trying to give you guys a little something for everyone. So we start with the simple, a little more involved, and then I guess a little more complicated, but more nuances and more things to think through. So check those 3 out. Now, if we want a financial tool to help us do that, there are plenty of financial planning tools out there. I'm going to just show you one. And here it is. It's called ProjectionLab. I actually met this was developed by a solo developer. His name's Kyle Nolan. And I've emailed with him for a while now. And I met him at FinCon, which is a personal finance conference for bloggers and YouTubers and podcasters that I go to every year. He was there in New Orleans, as they say, earlier this month. And this is all demo data, but this is a great little tool where you can create, as you can see, multiple financial plans. You can you can create accounts. You've set up your income, expenses, any real estate, and then you can set cash flow priorities here. So you can add in a priority, it could be savings, you could add a new account, saving for a child's education. You can create milestones like achieving financial independence, which you can define what that means mathematically, retiring, buying a home. I mean, really, you could set just about any financial goal you wanted. The thing that I think a planner helps do is this. You can create different financial plans and then compare them. So, for example, you could create a financial plan where, the Dave Ramsey plan, where you focus on all your non-mortgage debt first before, say, saving in a 401k and getting an employer match. And then you could create an alternative plan where you say, no, I think I'll focus on maybe high interest debt, but I also want to save and get that employer match. And you could compare the outcomes, which maybe be the best approach. As I said, there's a free version. With the free version, you can't save your data. It's not very expensive for the paid version. I did a YouTube video that sort of walked through that tool. I will leave a link to it below this video. The one thing I'll mention, in the video that I did, it was before Kyle added tax analysis. So if you look at this, he's got tax analysis. You can see it here, and there's a lot of things to put in, but in terms of inputs. But he added this a very important feature. You really can't have a robust financial planning tool without some tax analysis. Well, it's got it now. It didn't have it when I did the video review of it that I'm going to link to below this video. So keep that in mind. I do plan an update video on ProjectionLab to cover, among other things, the tax analysis. But I think it's a great tool you could use to implement the Dave Ramsey plan, the Boglehead plan, the Reddit personal finance plan, or any plan of your choosing. So there you go. I think those tools can help you try to answer this thorny question, one that I frankly continue to struggle with. I mean, the struggle is because financial priorities, there's not just one right answer. There could be a range of reasonable answers, and what might be right for you may not be right for me or someone else. And a lot of what's going to end up being the best answer depends on knowing something that's unknowable, the future, right? So it is a challenge, but I think with these tools, you can come up with a plan that's reasonable, one that you can follow. Hopefully, it'll help you in your financial planning. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. Be happy to help you out any way I can. And until next time, remember, the best thing money can buy is financial freedom.